Have you ever played Chutes and Ladders and you got all the way up here and then you had to take the longest slide down? Or have you ever played Candyland and you almost get to King Candy and then you get this little gingerbread guy and you have to go all the way back to almost the beginning? Here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people to get organized, but we often hear people say, I was progressing so well and then life got in the way. I completely understand. I have a lot of setbacks too, but my goal with today's video is to show you that when you're organized and you create a system, if life does happen and something, unexpected comes up, you can adjust, you can pause for a moment, address what needs to be handled, and then you can jump back in and you don't have to slide all the way back to the beginning. Let's walk through a few ideas inspired by our Learn, Do, Become community members who participated in an awesome discussion inside our organization program. And I'm hopeful by the end you're going to feel optimistic about what's possible for you and more committed to building a system that's going to serve you and your family. The first few ideas are essentially 3 benefits to having your system in place. And when I say system, I'm referring to what we talk about here as our STEP Command Central. We have lots of videos here on the channel that go deeper into all the parts and show you how it works. But essentially, we're creating systems for daily, weekly, and as needed resources. So everything isn't just on every flat surface and right in front of you all the time. Benefit number 1 is when you have systems in place, you can move forward on what makes sense, even when you're not 100%. We have a lot of community members who maybe have chronic illnesses. We have some that are undergoing cancer treatments. Most people have colds or flus, injuries, loss, trauma. I mean, we all are human, living a human life. So here are some practical ways that you can move forward during those times. Not saying you have to be productive every minute of every day, but a lot of times you still need to do things. So here's how I recommend doing so. Current projects, meaning maximum 8 projects that you're working on that month, those can be moved to next in line projects or someday projects. And then you can communicate with the people who, you've told you're going to have these projects done if needed. That way you're already just taking a mental load off because you're saying, I don't have a bunch of current projects. Instead, I'm going to take care of my health. The system also is going to help you because you could relax and just look at your calendar. Inside the Command Central, we make sure that our calendar is what's going to hold anything that absolutely has to happen on a particular day. So when you're feeling sick or not 100%, you can just open your calendar and say, okay, I do have to pay this bill today. I did need to send this email. I've got this one thing to do, done. Then you can just go handle what needs to be handled. There also might be low energy tasks that are on your next actions list. Sometimes we have really high energy tasks like, I need to go run all these errands, or I need to work really hard on this particular assignment. But a lot of times there's things like in my life, I'm sorting through old emails, organizing maybe some digital photos, going through a big box of my mom's journals. Those are things where I could still move forward on them. And sometimes it's actually a benefit to having some lower energy days, because when I'm higher energy, I tend to want to go do more things that require my high energy. And so a lot of these lower energy tasks just never get done. But if you just have them ready and then okay, I got a lower energy day today, I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward on what I can, what makes sense, not putting a ton of pressure on myself, but it still gives you that sense of progress. Benefit number 2 is that when you have your systems in place, you can simplify but still do what's most important. I talk a lot on the channel about doing routines, but recognizing we have the minimum viable product we can do. We can kind of stretch routines sometimes if we can't get everything done all the time. And I'll just give a few examples from my life. So we have a cute little dog, Sunny, who I love walking, and I walk her about 3 times a day, and I love it. My family thinks I overdo it, but I like walking, and so does she. But sometimes if I can't do all of those walks, I can just go in the backyard and play toys with Sunny, and she gets to run around and get the zoomies, and I can just take a few minutes and not have to do like a 15 or 20 minute walk. Meal prep's the same. You might have times where you like to make a really nice meal and you're trying something new, a new recipe, or you're cooking for a lot of people. And other times it's just something super quick that you're just gonna microwave or eat simply from the refrigerator. But recognizing that you don't have to do everything every day gives us a little lift. And finally, the weekly review. That's something that we do encourage our members to do every single week. But there were some times where my life was so busy that sitting down to process a whole inbox just felt like too much. So I would just grab the inbox, I would flip through it, find anything that was urgent, handle that, and just leave the inbox for later. Again, we don't want to always do the bare minimum, but when you can simplify as needed, knowing you can trust yourself to move forward on the full routines later, that's going to give you a little lift in the process. One of our community members articulated this really well. She said, "It's leaning into routines, no matter the pace or the quantity. Continuing to do the bare minimum means we've reserved the structure of our routines, and the routines can pick up pace and quantity later when the time is right." So I thought that was a great way to just give ourselves grace, but keep that structure. Benefit number 3 is when you have your system in place, you know you can always go back to the tools that you learned how to use. Now, when you're first getting started, it definitely is challenging because if you look at this and you've never seen it before, you might think like, what on earth are you asking me to do? If you don't really use a calendar or a next actions list, a current projects list, routines list, etc., it might just feel overwhelming. And when things get hard, you just like go back to your old ways. You don't think, oh, I'm going to try a new system, right? But my hope is that you're going to get to the point where you're going to feel like this community member who said, "I will never start from zero again. I will have internalized the tools and I have the confidence that I've done it once and I know how to do it again." For me, I had emails to 0, and though my inbox is not currently at 0, I know I can knock that out again. I'm so happy about these tools that I've already learned. That confidence helps me get back into it easily, knowing it has already helped me so much. I don't have to feel overwhelmed. I feel confident instead, and that translates to action after life happenings. So I hope you feel that way as well, because as you watch the videos on the channel and this becomes familiar to you and you maybe start putting some of them in place, or maybe you join our STEP program and you go through step by step with a community, you're going to start to feel this excitement knowing, okay, I've got the skills, I've got the tools, I know how to get out of chaos. We often hear from community members who say, I'm getting more projects coming into my life than I'm actually accomplishing. So I just want to take you inside Asana. This is the software I currently use to manage projects and show you what you could do in that situation. So let's say on your current projects list, you have 7 projects, okay? And these are the ones that you're working on this month and it's feeling great. And then all of a sudden, life happens and you get 3 new projects. Well, if you add 3 more projects, now you've got 10. You're probably not going to get all of them done. You might even feel so overwhelmed you get way less done. So what I recommend that you do is take 3 of these projects on your current list, move them down to either in progress or waiting, or maybe next in line, or maybe even someday. You can kind of renegotiate with yourself. And then you'll only have those 7 projects that you initially had put on your list. And if you don't get all of them done that month, that's okay. You can keep projects on month by month as long as they're active and they're moving forward. But you're going to be able to figure out, okay, I'm not losing a project if I don't do it currently. I have other places I can put it. I can make little timers to come off and remind me to look at it a certain day or something like that. But just this tool alone, being able to have a tiered projects list, has completely helped alleviate any pressure I used to put on myself when I would just pile it on, and then not get everything done and then just feel like I was failing. Now it's just, oh, let's just move them around. I hope you feel as excited about these 3 benefits as I do, because honestly, it is worth the energy to build your command central, get your system working, because life is going to happen for all of us. And just a couple reminders as we close up. Number 1, we do want to really celebrate our wins. One of our community members shared this and I just thought it was so good, I want to share it with you. She said, "My dining table was overflowing again and I was so frustrated, but last night I set my timer for 15 minutes and got a good chunk of it cleared. I made my bed again this morning. I've got these tiny things going for me and I just keep telling myself that it will grow if I just don't quit. And somehow this is giving me the confidence to take on a class for fitness instructor training that I never ever intended or thought I would be doing. So something's working and shifting in my brain." Okay, that's a huge celebration. And I hope that the more you watch this channel, the more you engage with Learn, Do, Become, the more you'll start to see little shifts happening in your life, because I'm hearing all the time, everything I put into place in my life actually works. It makes it better. You just need to do it. Okay, and the next reminder is to really just give ourselves grace. So one of our community members said this: no matter where you are in this process, forgive yourself and pat yourself on the back. We spend so much time criticizing ourselves. Be proud and excited you're here learning. It's taken me 2 years to really dig in. I wasn't ready before, I'm ready now. And when you're ready, you will schedule the time to make the files, etc. One file is progress. An inbox is progress. Be proud you even want to do this, and be gentle with yourself. So good. So yes, I echo that for you as well. And then one more comment that came in said, maybe someone else is like this too. For me, life gets in the way moments are bridges to how I used to navigate daily life. In moments of overwhelm, I used to shut down and do nothing while piles got bigger and I got more and more behind. My other go-to was the all or nothing mentality, seeking perfection, which is impossible, and then when I failed, feeling utterly defeated. Giving myself grace and remembering that I've had my go-tos longer than I've had these resources helps me to be patient with myself. And if I take the bridge to my old habits, remembering that placing guilt on top of everything else is never helpful. Inch by inch, life's a cinch. So I hope that you've felt inspired by our community members. I love our community here at Learn to Become because all of us recognize we're learning and we're growing. We know that life happens, and I don't know what's coming in the future. I hope that everything's like smooth sailing, but from past experience, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have challenges coming that I just can't anticipate right now. But what I do know is that having a system in place helps me to be able to manage whatever comes my way. So when the hard stuff does come, yeah, I might feel kind of temporarily rocked, but I can stop and say, okay, what do we need to do? What do we need to adjust? How can I move forward? And I want you to feel that way too, because you are worth it, and this is totally possible to build. So enjoy the other videos on the channel. I hope you'll start building your Command Central. Let me know how it's going. And as a next step, maybe you write down a few things that you notice where life has gotten in the way, and then identify even just one way that you can start implementing some of the tools that we've talked about. Maybe it's your current projects list, a routines list, next actions list, using the calendar more, something like that. Or come take our free training if you're brand new. There's a link in the description. We're so glad you're here. We'll see you soon.